This second part of the presentation is going to be talking about kind of the rules and regulations of how do you get, what are the things you need to do in order to do something like this. If you wanted to have, to start your own cleaning or milling, or if you wanted to sell grain, and also be helpful for you understanding the rules for if you want to grow seed or if you want to buy organic seed. I'm going to maybe stand over here a little bit. So, like it says here, under the regulations, maybe, I lost my clicker. Organic farms must use organic seeds unless they can demonstrate that organic seed varieties are not available in sufficient quantity, quality, or in appropriate forms. So that rule is outlined in the National Organic Program, Rule 205-204. And essentially what that is saying is that it's true, there's that must use, but like Todd was saying, they have an out, because like he was saying, some farmers specifically need they want a specific variety that's not currently available in organic form. And so for that reason, they can use conventional, untreated, non-GMO seed. There was one farmer who did call me who basically said, I'm contract growing a specific kind of soybean for a specific company for a specific product. He could not get that variety organically because the buyer requested that. That was where that would fall into play. But if that seed is available organically, we really prefer that the farmers source it organically. I lost my clicker. So going back here, the only exception is that if organic versions of the seed are not commercially available. The thing that I don't agree with is this particular one here about planting stock, because that includes seed potatoes, and I have a real problem with that a little bit. Like if I'm gonna eat or use potatoes, they should really be organic. So I kind of have an issue with that one, the planting stock piece. Yeah. If non-organic seeds are used, they have to be untreated and they need to be non-GMO. So a seed search has to be documented. So if you can't find it, you have to document it that you've tried to find it at least 3 different places. Organic seed source, commercial availability. When sourcing organic seed, the most important factor is commercial availability. Commercial availability means under the NOP rules that the seed must be available in sufficient amounts for your operation. Sometimes it's happened to me where I couldn't get an organic seed in enough quantity. The quality of the seed required for intended use. I've had that too, where I couldn't get the quality of seed that I was looking for. And then I could not get the variety of seed that I was looking for that was appropriate to what the buyer wanted me to use. Some resources for organic seed sourcing. We're gonna hear from Jared here shortly, but the Organic Seed Alliance, the Organic Materials Review Institute lists suppliers of seeds, local seed exchanges, organic farming networks like this one, and local seed suppliers are all places you can try to search. And of course, Todd, getting local seed. There are some, again, going into more detail on these exceptions. You can use untreated non-GMO seed if organic seeds are not commercially available, but they have to be this untreated non-GMO. You can, when I talk about treated seed, there are seed treatments you can use on organic seed. And as long as you use an organically approved seed treatment that's permitted under organic standards, you obviously can use treated seed. So there are some organic varieties of that that are available. And remember, you know, that the use of genetically modified organisms is prohibited in all aspects of organic farming, including seed use. So, yep. So I talked earlier about the seed treatments. There are natural coatings and inoculants that you can use on seeds to help improve vigor and protect against disease. I did not ask Todd if he applies inoculants here at his facility, but a lot of seed companies do offer that you can get a seed inoculant for those seeds. Beneficial bacteria for leguminous crops like beans, maybe some heat treatments, but oftentimes what I see are these seed coatings, these inoculants that they put on the plant so that they grow better. Record keeping and documentation. You do need to maintain thorough records of your seed sourcing process in order to demonstrate compliance with the organic certification inspection. So again, we heard Todd talking about people were calling him saying, hey, do you have this specific thing in this specific quantity? And as soon as he says no, it goes on that seed search record. And then you have to keep your invoices and seed labels for any seed you buy, whether organic or untreated. So when you're buying seed, it's really important to keep those bag tags. There are at least one bag, and keep the bag tags for all of the seed that you buy. And then the seed treatments, documentation of any of those seed treatments, and proof that they comply with the organic standards, proof of non-GMO. If it's non-organic seed, you have to show that it was from a non-GMO. A non-GMO affidavit from the seed manufacturer is what I normally request. So if I buy non-organic seed from Todd, I need you to fill out a non-GMO untreated seed affidavit. So Todd would fill that out, give it to me, and then I would provide that to my inspector. The other thing that's not mentioned on here that I want to mention is you need to get the certificate for the supplier. So if you were buying seed from Todd, you would say, Todd, I need a copy of your organic certificate to keep on file for my inspector. So in addition to the seed tags, you have to get a copy of the organic certificate from the supplier. Best practices for seed sourcing: start early because organic seed is in high demand and it sells out. I'm always even like I start looking for seed in February, it's too late. A lot of the varieties I want by February, they're out by December. I mean, they're gone now. Like, you should be buying your seed now for next cropping season. And then using trustworthy sources like Todd, who can provide you all the documentation that you need. Diverse seed sources, so exploring multiple vendors and platforms increases the chance of finding organic seed. And then documenting everything, so maintaining your detailed records of your seed sourcing process, your seed purchases, your organic certificate, and those treatments that you're. And then I would say too, if your seed has a treatment on it, if you're connected with an organic certifier, you were already certified, it's a good idea to get approval for that before you buy the seed, because it has happened that a company used a non-approved inoculant on a seed and they planted it, and guess what happened? They lost the whole crop. They had to sell the whole crop as conventional because they didn't verify that the inoculant that they used was organically approved. So regulations for seed cleaning and processing. I mean, we heard Todd talk about how you have to preserve the identity of the organic integrity through the whole process. So you have to do a thorough clean down. He has to do a complete clean down of the equipment, blowing out, purging the first few bushels that run through. So there's quite a few steps that he has to do to get ready for that process. Most seed processors will run organic once a month or once a day, one day a month, or whatever that looks like, because it's usually a small portion of their overall business. Like Todd, he's parallel production. So big thing for him is keeping the organic seed separate from the non-organic seed and separate to prevent contamination, and then using all those compliant inputs. So he would, if he uses cleaning agents, lubricants, sanitizers, he was talking about the organic sunflower seeds, that oil that got all that gummy stuff that got in there. Wow, if it was a non-organic sunflower seed that he was running, he'd really be in trouble because he had to clean all that out before he does his organic run. Okay. Yeah. And then approved methods and materials for cleaning equipment and seed. So before processing organic seed, all the equipment has to be thoroughly cleaned and sanitized. You have to do a physical cleaning on your conveyors, your packaging machinery. He's using clean bags, but he has to basically remove all the residual non-organic material. You saw those hoppers out there. Imagine trying to clean something like that to do organic, right? Oh my goodness, I can't even fathom. I mean, that's why he said it takes half a day to clean just one machine, and to do that, he needs at least a load 2 or 3, right? It's a lot of work when you're in a parallel facility. Most facilities have a dedicated, for that reason, well, I should say most, a lot of the facilities I inspect have a dedicated organic run room with dedicated equipment, so they don't have to do that. So they have enough volume, they can just say, okay, we're gonna use this dedicated equipment for organic. But in this case, where organic is only about 10 to 15% of Todd's sales, it's not profitable for him to do that. Approved cleaning agents, there's this entity called the Organic Materials Review Institute. They, if you go to their website, they have a list of products that have been approved for use in organic. But you still need to have them approved by the organic certifier. So anything like vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, citric acid, chlorine-based sanitizers, which you have to rinse that off. If you're using a chlorine-based sanitizer, those you'll have to have a rinse event after that. So there's some things that you can leave on, that's okay, and there's some things you can't because it has to be rinsed off because it can't come in contact with organic product. In our processing plant, we use food-grade hydrogen peroxide on everything. So we'll do a sanitation with bleach, we'll clean that up, rinse it off, and then during the runs, we'll use food-grade hydrogen peroxide to sterilize our knives and our tables during the run. So I think our rule is every 15-20 minutes we stop and we sanitize our knives and everything, and then we start again. You use food-grade hydrogen peroxide, it is absolutely no contamination, it's just fine. But I think it's like 3%, 3 or 4% hydrogen peroxide. It's not any stronger than that, otherwise it becomes quite toxic. So it's just, you can buy it online. I buy mine at Amazon in gallon-sized jugs. Okay, seed cleaning, about the mechanical methods for cleaning. So we saw gravity tables that separate the seed based on density, eliminating all those non-viable seeds, dirt, debris, and weed seeds, those air cleaners, all those screens and sieves that you've seen, those all have to be cleaned. And then the use of any chemical treatments or cleaning agents itself is strictly prohibited unless they're allowed in organic. So when we were looking out there at that room, there's a lot of stuff in there to clean, all of those sieves, and oh man, that's a lot of work for somebody to clean all that. It's very important that Todd does that. He's doing grass seed, so it's usually non-GMO, but if he was doing GMO corn and organic corn, that would be really critical to clean that down, because GMO residue in corn and soybeans, those what they call, when you go to the elevator, when we go to the elevator, I should say, and drop our seed, they'll do a rapid GMO test right then before we even unload. They'll pull a sample, run a rapid GMO test. And we have had some of our soybeans test positive before for GMO, and we ended up losing the whole load. And in one instance, it was because our combine broke down and we had to use a neighbor's combine. We cleaned that thing like crazy. It only takes a very small amount of seed being stuck in the hopper somewhere, and it contaminated the entire truckload of soybeans. I was devastated. I paid for the trucking to go all the way to Cherokee to have it unloaded, and they tested it and it tested positive for GMO. I was like, no. And the only thing we could think of is that we didn't clean the combine out good enough, because it wasn't, I don't think it was the beans. It could have been, I don't think so. It would be unlikely, right? Because beans are self-pollinating. So it had to have been the combine. That's what so even if you think you clean it, this is really risky business. It's high risk for contamination in a facility like this is parallel production. So cleaning, purging, yeah. So preventing cross-contamination. This is the number one thing that can result in loads being rejected, and that is having seed that's not organic. Whenever I buy organic seed, I take it and have it tested for GMOs right away. And if I'm buying it from a neighbor or whatever, I just don't want to risk the chance of my animal feed or something coming up positive, because accidents happen. I don't know. I think most grains out there are being tested at the elevator when they get dropped off. I did not ask Todd if he's doing a rapid test on that organic corn that comes in. A lot of buyers do. And they don't test it for pesticides though, but they'll run a rapid test for the GMO. And if it comes up positive, they'll usually they'll buy it conventionally, or they'll just reject the load and you have to go sell it at the local grain elevator, which is what we did.
Yeah, you got the little trucks.
Yeah, yep. So organic seed has to be kept physically separate from non-organic seed. So you see back there in the storage area where Todd's got those 2 pallets separated, it's labeled organic, it's got the lot number on it with the big orange tags. That's how it's supposed to be done. So he did it the right way. It's physically separate from the non-organic seed, and he needs to do this both in transportation, storage, cleaning, and packaging. So the whole stage, it needs to be identified as organic. It would be nice, like if he was running an organic run today, but we didn't see it, but sometimes they'll even put a sign up that says organic run for the staff, so they know that we're running organic seed here. So that identity preservation is super important when it comes to this. Oh, one thing I also did not notice, I didn't notice if he had any storage bins out there labeled as organic. I didn't ask Todd about that. Like, where does he store the organic seed and how does he label the bins? When we're walking out there, he might have dedicated bins just for organic, and I didn't see it, but chances are he probably does. And then sanitation between batches. Cleaning that machinery between runs is really important, and it does have to be documented. If you have, they talk here about buffer zones, so if you're doing organic seed processing, you probably want to have a different area in which you're processing it, or if you're using shared use equipment. Like you said, a popular way to do it is, to process your organic seed at the beginning of the day and then your non-organic seed after that. Because usually what they'll do is they'll do a clean down the night before, and then that next morning they'll come up and do that organic run. Are you planning to do, you're going to do both, right? Organic and non-organic?
Would like to.
Yeah.
But that would be on the farm, like the other person would have.
Right.
Organic.
Yeah. Can you make it? So you'll probably be doing you'll probably clean it and purge it and get everything clean. Yeah, before it even gets on the farm. Yeah, it's a good idea. Record keeping. So you do need to keep a record of all of your organic seed cleaning and seed processing and when it's shipped out. So you'll need to track the seed variety. It'll need to have a lot number, a source of the seed, its organic certification status, where it's coming from. If you're just a cleaner, the one thing that you will need that you'll have is your sales records for cleaning out. The lot number, the person that you're cleaning it for will give you a lot number for whatever their lot number system is. You'll have the date of cleaning, the processing, and then you'll have to, if you use any cleaning agents in the equipment before you process, you'll have to have records of that, just records of how you cleaned it. Sometimes a farmer will ask for a clean out record, so be prepared to provide that, because like for us, if you come, I'm going to ask you, if it's shared use equipment, I have to ask you for a I'll ask you for a clean out affidavit. And then you'll provide that to me, and that's what my certifier will want to see, because he's going to ask me when he comes to the farm, he'll say, was there any product that where it was shared use equipment? And if it was, then I have to show him that there was a clean out affidavit. So if you're sharing equipment on your farm, you'll have to have a clean out affidavit. We just do that with everything. So trucks, wagons, anything that you're sharing, planters. If you have a custom seed, somebody who's custom planting for you, he would need to provide you a clean out affidavit. that it was cleaned out, the boxes were cleaned, and how they were cleaned. At our farm, sometimes the equipment arrives on the farm and my husband will clean it, and then he'll fill out the clean equipment affidavit. And then record keeping, a couple of things. You'll want to keep copies I keep our records for 5 years, and I don't have it specifically in here, but 5 years. You'll need to maintain your records for the USDA for 5 years. And I didn't bring mine with me, but I'll just show you an example. So at home, for my farm, I have a binder that's got my organic system plan in it. If you're a handler, you're gonna have a handler organic system plan. If you're a farmer, you're gonna have one for livestock and one for crops. There's 3 different types of organic system plans that you can apply for: processing and handling, crops, and livestock. So you would be certified for 1, 2, or all 3. On our farm, we were certified for all 3. We might be going back to that, but we're just livestock and crops for right now. But this is like an example of like what you would have for an organic system plan. It would have all the information in here I have also copies of the regulations in here. I would have copies of my certification, all my receipts that I would keep. I keep little, I put my receipts like in a little like pencil pouch that you can zip up, because the reason I scan them, the ink comes off the receipts. Have you guys seen that? Yes, the computer printed receipts, they degrade over time. If you don't seal them in a bag or scan them, after 12 months, they're not readable anymore. And I've had that happen where the inspector couldn't read the receipts because the ink faded off the receipts. So that's something to think about when you're saving receipts. And then I keep, like I said, a bag tag for everything. You'll want to keep your equipment clean out and equipment maintenance records. All of your non-contamination procedures. Maybe you want to have develop like a standard operating procedure manual, like an SOP for like how you clean, and keep that on hand. You will have an organic, organic handlers, if you become certified organic, you can get certified right away. There's no wait. You're eligible right away. If you're an organic handler, you're going to have an organic inspection every year, and they're going to look at these things. So when they come and do the audit, they're going to be looking at your cleaning protocols, your record keeping practices, your organic system plan, your traceability of organic seed, and adherence to segregation requirements. And they may do random residue tests to ensure there are no prohibited substances present in your seed. So they can, and I've done that before, I've done random residue tests on bags of seed before and sent them in for testing. Handlers are not immune to unannounced inspections. In fact, they often are targeted for unannounced inspections. So I'm sure Todd, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but Todd may have had an unannounced inspection during his time the last few years. I know we've had one. So not all inspections are announced. Some of them are unannounced. And they do that for a reason, to ensure integrity in the system. So make sure that you always keep your records current. That's the biggest thing for these unannounced inspections, is showing up and your records aren't up to date. You may be doing everything right, but you don't have it written down, and then the inspector's there for hours while you're trying to find your paperwork. So it's just good just to keep them up to date as you go. I have a video that I'm going to show you. Jared Zystro, who's with the Organic Seed Alliance, he recorded a quick video for us, and he's going to give us a quick presentation talking about how organic seed research is done, how the organic seed industry is looking. So it kind of gives us this big picture of how that's going.
Hello. Thank you so much. I feel really honored to get to be part of your field day and talk a little bit about organic seed. Before I get started talking about organic seed, let me introduce myself. My name is Jared Zystro, and I am the Research and Education Co-Director at Organic Seed Alliance, or OSA for short. I have a PhD in plant breeding and plant genetics from the University of Wisconsin, where I studied efficient methods for breeding new organic varieties. I've been in the organic seed industry for over 15, actually over 20 years now, starting with managing seed production at different organic farms and then joining Organic Seed Alliance. In my current role at OSA, I oversee our research and education efforts, including our efforts at regional seed system development, participatory plant breeding projects, variety trials, and education around seed production and plant breeding at workshops, conferences, field days like this one. Ultimately, my work is really aiming to increase the diversity and resilience of our seed systems by collaborating with farmers and other agricultural professionals. When I'm not working, I have the pleasure of being a father to a now 11-year-old son and live in the coastal town of Arcata, California. I'd like to introduce you all to Organic Seed Alliance by sharing a little bit about our vision and our role in the organic seed system. So the mission of Organic Seed Alliance is to put the power of seed into the hands of growers. We work to promote an abundant and diverse supply of organic seed, tended by skilled, diverse, and interconnected communities of seed stewards. And our vision is that seed grows an equitable, abundant, and resilient future of food. Our role in the organic seed system is really multifaceted. We conduct collaborative research on crop improvement, plant breeding, seed production, specifically for organic systems. We do a lot of work providing education on the agronomic, economic, and political elements of seed work. And we engage in advocacy to support policies that benefit organic agriculture, organic seed systems, and protect farmers' rights to save seed. And throughout all of our work, we really prioritize network building, relationship building across all of these different program areas. Ultimately, we're a nonprofit organization, and who we serve is we primarily serve growers who are working with seed, primarily in the United States at all scales, emphasizing these participatory approaches and partnering with lots of other organizations and individuals that are aligned with our values. So what are the key factors that contribute to maintaining seed integrity in organic farming systems? And how do these differ from conventional systems? Many of you know that if you're an organic farmer, you need to use organic seed as one of your inputs unless organic seed isn't available for the varieties that you're searching for, in which case you can use conventional untreated seed. And I think it's important to think about kind of the why. The why would you choose to use organic seed? Why is it important to use organic seed? And one of the first things I'd point to is from strictly the point of view of the environment, seed production, conventional seed production, can be a fairly chemically intensive process, both because of the length of the season that seed crops are typically in the ground, and also because of concerns around minimizing seed-borne diseases. Seed crops, conventional seed crops, are typically sprayed many times throughout the season with fungicides. They're often, there's a lot of other pesticides, herbicides that are used to maintain those stands over the long season that's required. And by focusing on or by supporting organic seed, you're really supporting a system that really helps better protect the environment and human health. But what I would say is beyond that, by supporting organic seed and organic seed systems, you're also supporting the research and development of new organically adapted varieties. Organic seeds that are bred and produced under organic management, they really can be better adapted to the specific challenges of organic farming systems. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later, but this contrasts with the seeds that you would be getting out of conventional systems and ones that were bred for conventional farming systems that are going to be based on a system that's where more chemical inputs are available, and therefore the sort of genetics of the seed don't need to be relied upon as much to handle some of the environmental, both biotic in terms of pests and diseases and abiotic conditions that the crop will be grown in. I'd also say that another way that organic seed differs from conventional seed, and organic seed systems can differ from conventional seed systems, is what you see is that a lot of organic breeding and organic systems really focus on participatory breeding, where farmers are involved in the process, in regional diverse breeding, where you're more likely to be able to find varieties that might be better adapted to not just your organic farm, but specifically to your region and climate. So how does the availability of organic seeds impact the overall success of organic farming, particularly in terms of crop diversity and resilience? And what I would say to that question is really that the availability of organic seeds has a profound impact on the success of organic farming, especially when it comes to crop diversity and resilience. Like I said before, organic seeds are ideally bred in and for organic systems, so resulting in varieties that are better adapted to organic growing conditions. This adaptation, and we've seen evidence of this, can lead to improved crop performance, yield stability, and quality in organic farms. Organic plant breeding, by its very nature, as I said before, because organic varieties, plants being grown on organic farms, they really need to have the genetic package to stand up to some of the challenges that you as organic growers might be faced with in your systems. Organic varieties that are being bred, they really, that breeding process often prioritizes traits like disease resistance, pest tolerance, nutrient use efficiency that really can contribute to more resilient crops that can better withstand environmental stresses and challenges that are if either specific to organic production or at least are more important in organic production. Ideally, as this organic seed sector grows, as more people are using organic seed, as it grows and matures into a robust industry, it really encourages the development of a wider range of crop varieties that are suited to organic. And that diversity is critical for resilience against pests, diseases, and changing climate conditions. So ultimately, by fostering crop diversity and resilience, the availability of organic seeds not only supports the success of individual farms, but really contributes to overall sustainability and adaptability of our food systems. I'd like to address some of the challenges that organic farmers face in sourcing high-quality organic seed, and how some of those challenges might be able to be mitigated or addressed. And I think it's important to recognize that there are certainly real challenges in trying to source high-quality organic seeds. Despite significant growth in the organic seed sector, what we've seen is that the availability of organic seeds for certain crops and varieties is still limited, especially compared to conventional seed options. Some varieties that perform well in organic systems are in high demand by organic consumers may not be available as organic seed, or may not be available in the quantities that you need. Often organic seeds can be more expensive than their conventional counterparts, due in part to kind of the additional costs associated with organic production, and also just the factor of scale, that there's still a smaller scale production happening in general for organic seeds compared to conventional seeds. There's a lot of regulatory complexity, as you all know, as organic farmers. There are many regulations that you have to follow, and organic seed is one of those pieces, and there is some ambiguity and complexity in there. The organic regulations allow for the use of non-organic seed when organic options are not commercially available, and that creates some confusion and inconsistency in enforcement between different certifying agencies and can be a challenge for farmers. One of the things that we want to do to be able to mitigate some of these challenges is we really need to increase investment in organic plant breeding and organic seed research and education, network development to help fill variety gaps, find varieties, develop varieties, and distribute varieties that meet the needs of organic growers. And we need to strengthen those seed grower networks to increase the availability of those varieties and get them in the hands of farmers. That education and training around seed production is so critical. Providing more resources for farmers on organic seed production can help them either produce their own high quality seeds for your own use on farm, or be able to have it be part of your farm enterprise and share and sell seeds to other farmers. We also need to improve information systems around organic seed availability, because sometimes it can be really hard for farmers to locate the seeds that they need. And there needs to be some better tools to assist in locating adapted and appropriate varieties of organic seeds. So what is the role of genetic diversity in organic seed development? And what is its importance for maintaining seed integrity over multiple growing seasons? What I'd like to say to that is that genetic diversity is an interesting one, because we can talk about genetic diversity at kind of at the individual plant level. We can talk about it kind of across the variety. And we can also talk about genetic diversity across the landscape, across the farming landscape. And all those things play a role in genetic diversity and the resilience that genetic diversity can impart to agricultural systems. So when we think about kind of genetic diversity within a variety, that allows a couple of things. One, on your farm, on the farm landscape, a genetically diverse crop population is more likely to include a range of individuals with different attributes, different strengths, potentially different weaknesses, so that, for example, some of the individuals in this variety might be more resistant to specific pests or diseases. They might have more or less tolerance to heat or cold or drought or flooding. And I think a really classic example of this value of genetic diversity that you see being employed and has been employed for a long time is in alfalfa. Most alfalfa is not being sold as a really narrow population, a really very genetically narrow crop, the same way that you might see when you're looking at your typical hybrid vegetable seeds. And the advantage of that is because alfalfa needs to grow in a range of conditions. It needs to be able to survive through multiple seasons and make a good stand, regardless of kind of the soil conditions and the different pests and diseases it might withstand. And that plant breeders and seed companies have realized over time that having a diverse population is one of the best ways to ensure some resilience and consistency in the crop stand over time. So that's kind of an immediate benefit of having a diverse population on your farm, is just having that kind of stability, some of that buffering that comes with having diversity of individual plants. It also provides an opportunity for kind of adaptation and selection, where when we're saving seeds off of a population, if there's enough diversity in that population, we can adapt that variety to our specific environment, to our specific challenges, to our market, to our cultural practices. And through this process of selection and breeding using genetic diversity, in that we can take a variety and really make it your own when you're saving your own seeds from a diverse variety. So maintaining genetic diversity is both kind of about, preserving biodiversity on a farm landscape and kind of the benefits that that can provide to wildlife, to natural systems. It's also on your farm, providing this buffering and potential yield stability. And it's also about allowing there to be kind of continued adaptation and evolution that can happen through selection and breeding within those diverse varieties. The question I was asked to address was, what advancements or innovations am I seeing in the field of organic seed breeding that can improve seed integrity and availability for organic farmers? And what I would say is some of the things that I'm most excited about. I think first off, one of the ways that I see many organic breeding companies, many public plant breeders and individual private plant breeders, as well as farmer plant breeders operating is really in the organic space, really operating on this model of participatory plant breeding, where farmers, researchers, other stakeholders are all involved in the breeding process. And that's really important because it allows us to ensure that the breeding priorities really align with farmers' needs and with their local conditions, and that we're bringing the expertise and understanding from farmers into that breeding process in a really real, meaningful way. One of the things that we're seeing more and more, and this isn't exclusive to organic breeding, but is the use of what's known as marker-assisted selection. Now, this is not the same thing as genetic engineering or creating genetically modified organisms. This is essentially the same way that you can take like a 23andMe test to learn more about your ancestry or some of the genes that you might be carrying. We can do the same thing to look at varieties and say, okay, does this variety have some genes, for example, that are associated with resistance to specific diseases? Is this variety have some genes that might be associated with specific market qualities like fruit color or plant habit in the case of more agronomic traits? And then take advantage of, rather than having to necessarily grow out all the plants, you can sometimes evaluate to see if just at the seedling stage, if those plants have those genes or don't, and then make your selections early. And this is something that can really allow plant breeders to speed up the breeding process while still maintaining those other goals of doing participatory plant breeding, maintaining genetic diversity. We also see more and more, and especially in organic plant breeding efforts, decentralized breeding efforts that really can focus on developing specific varieties for specific regions. One of the great pushes and pulls, I would say in general, with breeding and with seed systems is that from a seed company point of view, they would like to have, if it's a large global seed company, they would like to have varieties that they can sell all around the globe, because that allows them to scale up their production, minimizes the number of kind of different lots that they're having to maintain in inventory. And there are some benefits to that. From the farmer's standpoint, is that sometimes varieties that perform well all over the globe, they do that because they're relatively kind of stable and robust to a range of conditions. However, what you're missing out on in that is the opportunity to really have varieties that are tailored to your environment, to your, your latitude, to your temperature regimes, to your specific pest and disease pressures, to the kind of demands of your local markets. And so with organic plant breeding, we see a lot more decentralized regional breeding efforts that are focused on developing those varieties and adapting them to those specific regions and local needs. Looking ahead in terms of some of the research efforts that are coming out there, something that I'm excited about in terms of plant breeding is that we're seeing more and more focus on breeding cover crops for organics, ideally ones that really are good in organic rotations, possibly ones that are serving multiple purposes, and also developing varieties that perform really well in no-till, low-till practices. And I'm hoping to see more of those varieties coming out commercially and available to farmers pretty soon. In addition, with organic breeding, and again, this is something that isn't necessarily specific to organic breeding, but something that we see more emphasis on is focusing on enhancing the nutritional content of crops, making sure that they're really trying to breed for nutrient density and high nutrition. And as I had said, I think previously or alluded to previously, because of the limited tool set that organic growers have in terms of managing pests, diseases, climatic effects, the genetics of the seed, of the variety that they're using becomes that much more important. And so I would say that the organic breeding companies and public plant breeders are putting a lot of effort specifically on developing varieties that have those packages of disease, pest resistance, heat resistance, drought tolerance, some of these things that are becoming more and more important in our changing climate. So I hope that that provides a little bit of information about the role, the vital role that organic seeds play in our organic system and the role that you all as farmers play in supporting that system and supporting the breeding, testing, and distribution of those seeds that hopefully are going to be able to meet your needs. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending time with me today, and I hope the rest of your field day goes great.